It may have taken longer than I anticipated, but I have finally beaten Xenoblade Chronicles' main campaign, and it adds to a list of truly impressive long RPGs I have played recently. Xenoblade stands out in that list for having a myriad of excellent elements that make up a superb game. The gameplay is tense and exciting at its best, the story has an excellent buildup of themes and a jaw-dropping final third act, and the presentation is breathtaking in all aspects. Xenoblade Chronicles has been described as a modern classic more times than I can count, and given my experience with this definitive edition, I find myself strongly agreeing. Xenoblade Chronicles is a JRPG with an emphasis on open-world exploration and a unique real-time combat system. It is developed by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. The game originally came out on the Wii in 2010 in Japan, and after a lengthy campaign to get it localized, it came to Europe in 2011 and North America in 2012. The game then received a port to the new 3DS system in 2015 and became available on the Wii U as a digital exclusive. All of this led up to the remade Definitive Edition, which is the version I played that came to the Switch in May of 2020. Xenoblade Chronicles, at every point of its journey, has received strong critical praise and commercial success has followed, although not without some bumps in the road. The game had to overcome stock shortages during its original European release and was a GameStop exclusive in the US, and despite that, Western sales for the game outpaced Japanese sales. The unexpected success led to the game becoming the starting point of a new series, with Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 being released on the Wii U and Switch respectively, and growing recognition from Nintendo of the series as a developing IP for the company. As fascinating and lengthy as the story about the game itself is, the story the game tells is quite good as well. Xenoblade Chronicles takes place in a world where two titans serve as the only landmasses in a vast ocean. These two titans, the Bionis and the Mechonis, fought until they mutually killed each other, leaving their corpses behind. On the Bionis, organic life developed, including three major races: the humans, called Homs, the Nopon, and the High Entia. On the Mechonis, as the name might indicate, mechanical life flourished. However, the conflict between the two titans continues with the periodic invasions onto the Bionis of the Mechon, who can only be beaten back by one weapon, the Monado, a sword of unbelievable power and flighty temperament when it comes to who can use it. Enter Shulk, the protagonist, a Hom scientist living in Colony 9 along with his best friends Ryan and Fiora. Then, everything changed when the Mechon invaded. During the battle, Shulk discovers that he has the ability to wield the Monado, and unlocks the potential to see into the future, allowing him to do everything from avoiding attacks in battle to dramatically altering tragic events. Unfortunately, his newfound power is not enough to prevent huge damage to the colony and a tragic personal loss. Shulk's grief turns into a desire for vengeance that sets him off on a journey across the Bionis on his way to the Mechonis in order to get revenge against the Mechon. His journey is aided by several friends of all the races from Bionis, and leads to many discoveries about the nature of the world while tackling themes of revenge and destiny. The story sets up a fascinating and beautiful world early on, and begins building a wonderful cast of characters that grow over the course of the story. This intricate early world building and character work is extremely vital for the story to hit the heights it does later on in the game. I did find the middle part of the story dragged a little, but dear lord, the game doesn't pull punches once things start picking up towards the end. Everything the game builds over the course of the game with its world and characters resolves magnificently and delivers some of the most satisfying story moments of any game I've played. It's not a short journey, but that just gives more time for Shulk and the amazing set of characters to leave a great impression on you. If you do find yourself bogged down in the middle of the game, just push through. I promise the payoff is worth it. The writing for every poignant, heart-wrenching, and funny moment is perfect. The cast is so well put together, it's sometimes astounding. In addition to the story, the gameplay gives players a unique battle system, a ton of exploration, and a wealth of interlocking deep systems. If you are a player who loves challenging completionist games, Xenoblade Chronicles may be one of your greatest challenges, and it makes those aspects fun in ways other games don't quite succeed at doing. Given its open world nature, exploration is a big part of the game. The game rewards that exploration with all the points you need, from experience points to skill points. Collecting various items lying around allows you to fill out collectible sheets that reward you with gems to enhance your weapons and armor. Many quests take you all around the map you're in, collecting items, defeating monsters, and aiding other people in the world. And that is part of the game as well. As you meet more people, you expand what's called the affinity chart and gain a reputation boost in particular areas. It is very easy to spend hours doing nothing actually related to the main plot of the game, and it's not all that required, so you can balance how much additional exploration you want to do on top of the main game story. Grinding may be a little necessary if you don't do exploration stuff to make sure your characters are prepared for the final levels, but in my playthrough, I rarely had to grind to get my team up to scratch. Leveling up just comes naturally between doing side quests, exploring, and fighting monsters that happen to cross my path, or I should say when I cross a monster's path. In addition, exploration is necessary for finding heart-to-hearts, which adds greater characterization and deeper dives into motivations and background for everyone in the cast. To watch the heart-to-hearts, you need to build up the affinities between each of the characters, which offers gameplay boosts as well with the shared skill system. One way of building the affinities up is through gift giving, which usually consists of the items you collect to fill the Collectopedia. Funny how these things come full circle. I love how the systems in Xenoblade interact, and there doesn't seem to be any aspect of the game that isn't intertwined with other systems and purposeful in design. As for the scenes themselves, they are generally fun and add depth to the characters, but I find myself wishing they were voiced, and the whole pick the answer when you have no real way of knowing without looking at a guide which answer is correct when it comes to the dialogue can be frustrating. It's fairly easy, though, to see past these gripes when the writing quality of the scenes is solid, which is most of the time. While you're exploring around, though, you'll, of course, encounter various monsters, some of whom you'll fight and some of whom you'll run away from as quickly as possible. If you get into a fight, though, you enter Xenoblade's unique action-based real-time battle system. You control one character. Probably Shulk, although you can switch your party leader and therefore who you control in between battles if you so wish, and select one of several character arts at the bottom of the screen to perform various moves. There are attack arts, healing arts, status effect arts, buffs and debuffs, and several more distinct abilities. On top of these are arts that have different effects based on the positioning of your character or the enemy's status, so it's not all pressing buttons if you want to get the most efficient attacks. Add on to this the skills that your party members learn over time, and you get a plethora of options to use when tackling enemies big or small. One of the best ways to defeat any enemy, though, is by building up the party gauge and unleashing a chain attack to do massive amounts of damage. For a gameplay system that has no direct attack button, it's all auto attack unless you specifically select an art, and is the equivalent of scrolling and clicking some of the time, the combat is much more strategic, fast-paced, and generally fun than that bare-bones description indicates. Overall, the battle system offered a fair amount of challenge for me, especially the boss battles and the unique monsters you find around the map, and that made the combat system a highlight for me. Keeping on with the theme of systems upon systems, the way you enhance weapons through gems that you can craft at a certain place in your opening location, and then later on portably after completing a certain quest, adds even more strategic depth to the game. I don't blame players for getting overwhelmed in all the systems Xenoblade has to offer. Thankfully, though, complete understanding and efficient use of them is not necessary for completing the game. Thus, I see these intricate systems as a reward and challenge for players who really want to dive into the depths of the game. I am glad that Xenoblade offers many different ways for people to play as casually and as intensely as they wish to. By supporting various different ways of playing the game, Xenoblade offers an experience that can be enjoyed by any player. Before moving on to presentation, I want to briefly talk about the standalone epilogue Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected included in the definitive edition. Now, as of the completion of this video, I have not completed Future Connected, so my impressions of it are unfinished. The main game itself is good enough to justify my purchase certainly, but there are players who have played the main game before on different consoles, so Future Connected as the new story and gameplay content is what may draw them in. If that is your only reason for buying the game, I'm not sure it's worth it. The further look into Melia's character is great, and the inclusion of Kino and Nene was also appreciated, as I found both of them charming little pawns. The gameplay is mostly the same, so not too much to comment on with regards to that. I think Future Connected is a great addition to the Definitive Edition, and is a substantial one. If you want the best version of Xenoblade alongside Future Connected, I recommend getting the Definitive Edition. If your only reason for wanting it is Future Connected though, I think watching a YouTube playthrough of it should satisfy. Gotta say though, Future Connected, like the main game itself, looks and sounds amazing. The original Xenoblade Chronicles had a fair amount of beauty for a Wii game, especially when it came to environments. The Definitive Edition took that and remade it into something gorgeous. From character design to every location you travel through, the game looks fantastic. The overall charm and mood of the world are greatly enhanced by the soundtrack, working alongside the environments to make a rich tapestry of presentation. And the soundtrack had numerous tracks redone for this version. Manami Kiyota, along with the team at Ace Plus and veteran composers Yoko Shimomura and Yasunori Mitsuda, made an incredible soundtrack that brings out the feelings of wonder, heartache, danger, and excitement at all the appropriate moments. Finally, the voice acting is good, and I can tell a lot of the actors had a blast working with these characters. This goes for both the original Japanese and English dub. It's hard to ask for anything more from the presentation, although I will admit the animation can be a bit goofy at times. When Xenoblade Chronicles first came out, the praise for the game and continued discussion about its themes and systems led to it being discussed as one of the best recent RPGs. The Definitive Edition only builds on and enhances the great game, and its arrival on the Switch is a perfect opportunity to jump into the series if you have not already. I would especially recommend it to anyone who enjoyed Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the system, but didn't have the opportunity to play the original before the Definitive Edition came along. The game has a lot to offer any player, from a wonderful story to exciting gameplay. If you do try it out or have already played it, let me know down in the comments. As always, leaving likes and comments helps this video overcome the malevolent god that is the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to keep following my videos, subscribing and ringing the bell is the best method of doing so. I hope to see you all next time. Have a great day, and happy gaming.